Mimi nataka niwahakikishie Wakenya ya kwamba pesa zao ziko salama. Hakuna pesa zozote zilizopotea either kwa Eurobond ama kwa zile pesa zingine zote tulizokusanya kwa ushuru. Pesa hiyo tunatumia katika kujenga na kupanua maendeleo katika taifa letu la Kenya.
We demand that the top national treasury officials, namely the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Henry Rotich, the Principal Secretary, Dr. Kamau Thuge, and the Accountant General, Mr. Bernard Ndung'u, resign immediately and be arraigned in court for committing the following acts or omissions.
According to Raila Odinga, these are the persons of interest as far as what allegedly went wrong with the Eurobond proceeds.
That we are in the middle of a great con game, treachery and thievery by the agents of the Kenyan state working in cahoots.
Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Can someone whisper to the ears of the Kenya Kwanza officials that no amount of propaganda or blame game will exonerate them from the sins of omission or commission or both? I'm saying this because there has been a protracted debate and a battle between the Kenya Kwanza bloggers and the Uhuru Kenyatta apologists. And the bone of contention here is about the Eurobond. Recently, Kimani Ichungwa threatened that they would form a commission of inquiry to look into the extent of how Eurobond was taken and how it was used, because according to them, it went into the pockets of individuals. We are still waiting for that promise, which I believe will never come. Earlier in the day, ladies and gentlemen, there was a story that was going on, and this story was perpetuated by some of the UDA adherents, and specifically, to be very precise, is Caleb Kositan, who was saying that the US Federal Reserve opens investigations on Kenya's 2014 $2.7 billion Eurobond. And the UDA bloggers took this and they propagated and ran away with this narrative that the USA is now trying to investigate into how this money was misused, and some of them were saying that Uhuru's head is on the chopping board. But then another twist, because I got this from Pauline Njoroge, where he was saying that the man who was at the center, of this controversy, they're saying that this man, Mr. Dimitri, termed this as a fallacy. And there is this tweet that they're saying, he said that this is a complete fake. I did not write any story about Kenya. Mr. Kusitani, I hope you are more careful about how you run your airports, and you should be ashamed for spreading such fake news. That was the protracted debate between the two of them. But then, ladies and gentlemen, let us delve into this to know who is saying the truth. Because when this Eurobond was taken, we were there. How it was used, we saw some of it. So I want us to get into the nitty-gritties and the depth of the people who are now trying to negate the fact that they are part and parcel of the Eurobond. Please, if you're watching our channel for the first time, allow me to request you to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell. You can like our videos and share them, but don't forget to click that notification bell so that whenever we do a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to look at William Ruto, who was then the deputy president, lending a helping hand to his boss then, Uhuru Kenyatta. When there were allegations that the former president Uhuru Kenyatta was trying to sabotage Edward Ouko, who was then the editor general, as he was trying to investigate Eurobond and he was to travel to the US, New York, to try and get to the rock bottom of this matter. And William Ruto defended Uhuru Kenyatta. And he said that this was utter nonsense for those who are alleging that Eurobond was getting into people's pockets and it was being used erroneously. Just take a look at William Samoei Ruto then.
Promised a blow-by-blow account on how this money was spent. He did an about turn. He never did it.
He asked the former Prime Minister to go to his office.
But he promised. He promised even journalists.
The former Prime Minister never went.
But he promised journalists he's going to do it. But he did not do it.
What questions have been asked to Henry Rotich and he has not answered?
That is one. That is one which he promised and he did an about turn.
What questions? To the best of my knowledge, even if you went and Googled, forget about even talking to Rotich, and Googled today on matters to do with Eurobond, you will find the explanation from the Minister, from Treasury, online. Forget about even looking for anybody.
Okay, but he did not. That's the point. He promised.
What do you mean? What do you mean he did not?
He did not. He said
if he has given, I have a copy of what was posted on the website, answering every question.
Okay. Again, economists argue about this, and conventional economists will teach us that if you pump so much hard currency in an economy, government borrowing from banks will go down. That is definite. And these are the questions that have been asked. And as a result, banking lending rates will drastically go down. Or the affected economy will experience strengthening of the operating local currency. Why didn't our economy respond to this? And finally, on this matter of Eurobond. Recently, at the State House Summit, when Edward Owoko, the Auditor General who is investigating this, when President Kenyatta almost rubbished what he was doing by seeking to go to New York to investigate this, isn't that interfering with investigations? Why won't you just let him finish his investigations? Because you're saying all these allegations, there's nothing.
My friend,
why can't he finish the allegations, the investigations without anybody interfering, so that we know whether it's true or not?
Mr. Ugo is free. He has been to the US not once on that matter, for your information, right? He has been to the US not once. And all the books are open on this matter of Eurobond. And let me tell you, Hussein, on national television, I can look Kenyans in the eye and tell them the allegations about the loss of Eurobond is nonsense. It is really, it is not possible that any...
So that was William Ruto. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, Uhuru Kenyatta was being accused. If William Ruto and the entire brigade who is now accusing Uhuru Kenyatta were very genuine when he was the deputy president, he would have come out and castigated this. He would have come out and revealed to the nation that his hands are clean, that it was only the president who was trying to sabotage this. But at the height of all this, he defended with all his might and rubbished the allegations that Uhuru Kenyatta was trying to sabotage the use of the Eurobond. He even went further and said that you could even go to Google how Eurobond was used, because Raila Amolo Odinga had pressured the then cabinet secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Henry Rotich, to explain and produce documents to that effect. He didn't. Even the news reporters tried to pile pressure on him. And Henry Rotich promised that he would do something. He didn't. So William Ruto was saying that Raila was supposed to go to Henry Rotich's office, and he didn't go, and therefore he should not be blamed. The same thing is happening today, where Raila is telling them to produce documents where they signed documents between government to government oil deal. They can't produce. So William Ruto cannot tell us that he cannot now come back and negate the fact that he was part of the government. Let us look at him again telling Hussein Mohammed, who is now the State House spokesperson, and he was saying that he was a deputy president, and that if anything went wrong, the two of them would be blamed for it. Blame or the responsibility fell squarely on the president and his deputy.
Why should we trust you? We are supposed to trust the institutions, isn't it?
My friend, the fact that I am elected deputy president means the people of Kenya, if things go wrong in this government, President Uhuru Kenyatta and I will be the ones to be asked. Forget even about MD of, I don't know, some organization, cabinet secretary this and cabinet secretary that. Ultimately, the people that were given the mandate to run the affairs of this government by the people of Kenya is President Uhuru Kenyatta and I. Tell me for 1 minute, why, after the trust that people of Kenya put on me, why would I sit on national television and say something that's untrue? And to what gain and to what end?
So that was the feelings and the thoughts of William Ruto, that they were joined at the hip and therefore they were to share every blame game should anything went wrong. And he defended that. So we must take his words seriously then, that if anything goes wrong, then both of them will be blamed. He cannot now make a U-turn. If they have to share the blame on Eurobond, let the two of them be blamed, not trying to get off the hook and now telling us that a government that he defended, the Eurobond that he defended, it's now saying that it was Uhuru who was on the wrong. No, it cannot be, ladies and gentlemen. The third one is the man who is telling us that he wants to form a commission of inquiry to investigate Uhuru Kenyatta. I want us to look at Kimani Ichungwa then, how they defended this use of Eurobond, how they defended to expand the expansion of a debt limit, supporting the government's position then that they were to borrow more. And you'd even wonder how he's now coming back to pretend that he didn't know what was happening. Just take a look.
Well, two Jubilee MPs have said they will support a government proposal which would essentially allow more borrowing. Kikuyu Member of Parliament Kimani Ichungwa and his Dagoretti counterpart John Kiare sought to dispel fears that more borrowing would negatively affect the economy, adding that monies borrowed over time would be used in development projects. The two spoke during a fundraising ceremony at Rungiri PCA Church.
The intention is to restructure our debt. Once we restructure our debt, we will be able to externalize most of our debt and allow the private sector to borrow from the domestic market.
Sisi kama wabunge tutafanya kazi yetu kuhakikisha kwamba serikali ikileta mswada wa kuongeza debt limit yetu juu, sisi kama wajumbe tutahakikisha kwamba hatutaweka nchi yetu hatarini. Hii debt limit tutaiongeza ili kwamba maendeleo haya ambayo tunafanya nchini yaweze kupata rasilimali.
Ladies and gentlemen, after listening and watching those videos, do you think any Kenya Kwanza apologist has got any audacity to defend this government? Do they have any audacity to even blame Uhuru Kenyatta? Because internet doesn't lie. Kenyans will always go deep into the archives to expose them, to embarrass them. Why do you think, despite all these evidences that we have before us, the Kenya Kwanza officials and their bloggers still want to pretend that they are protecting this government? They have realized that they have failed and their policies are not working at all. And so they have resorted to blame game. Because William Ruto told us that they had a plan for everything. At the heart of everything was that they were removing all the subsidies, because subsidies were meant to subsidize consumption, which they said was never sustainable. So they said they were going to subsidize production, and one of them is that they were subsidizing fertilizers, something that they have said informed the high production of maize, and they said that it is the reason why the prices of unga has come down. But these plans are not working at all. You look at the subsidized production, yet they add more taxes, and you wonder, does it work? So they have failed completely. They have also realized that Kenyans are turning away, including those who voted for William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. They have exercised and shown rebellion Songs are being composed, the anti-Ruto and Gachagua songs. And they are telling William Ruto, you deceived us. And so they have decided that they want to use and heap blame games. They don't understand that the more they do this, the more they are exposed and the more Uhuru Kenyatta is being vindicated. They want to sanitize the corruption in the country. We have been told about edible oil, where some billions of shillings have gone and they cannot be explained. We still have the oil deal, cannot be explained. We have one at the agriculture ministry, cannot be explained. So the corruption that is in this country is one that William Ruto cannot deal with. And so they are trying to sanitize this corruption by trying to hit blame game on Uhuru Kenyatta. Take for example, how do you explain the G2G oil deal? How do you even drag in the name of Uhuru Kenyatta? And I remember them saying that, oh, Raila is involved in this business. His company was left out in the oil deal, and therefore is mad about it. Kenyans are never fools. You know, this government feels that they can always deceive us and we will not detect. But Wakenya ni akina nani? Kenyans have refused. Because if you see the manner in which they continue to expose this government in the social media, then it will tell you that Kenyans are beginning to wake up. I have always said that sometimes you are told you have the right to remain silent, because whatever you say shall be used against you in a court of law. How I wish that this government decided to just keep quiet, because the more they try to open their mouth, the more they try to defend, the more they try to take the propaganda even to the international level, the more they get embarrassed. Let them also realize that Kenyans know the kind of people they deal with. We are dealing with dishonest people, and this is no secret. I wonder what William Ruto and the entire brigade will tell Kenyans in 2027 when he will be campaigning, because all the lies cannot be used. The blame game cannot be sustained till 2027. Things are not working. William Ruto might just be a one-term president, because even rigging an election in 2027 will be difficult. Kenyans will be so much tired of this government, because I've seen people talking about revolution. Some are even saying that we shouldn't wait for 2027. We should take this government, kick it out, so that we get people who can run our affairs. The last one. This government realizes that there's nothing they can do, because they've been cornered by the IMF, they have been cornered by the World Bank, because wherever William Ruto is these days, you will see the World Bank, you will see the IMF. And they know that there's nothing they can do about it. They signed a deal. The West was to help William Ruto get power, and William Ruto was to perpetuate all their deals. LGBTQ, GMO, taxes, name it. And so William Ruto is in some kind of quagmire, and there is nothing he can do. They signed it together. So he has resorted to this blame game to try and cover for the dictates of the IMF. But we all know this. We are privy to the international news, and we know that the IMF is giving loans, and they are giving with conditions. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it is high time this government calls all the think tanks and replace the economic advisors, because if there's one person who is also messing up this country, is David D. That man continues tweeting from morning to evening and is not helping the Kenya Kwanza team. And so, ladies and gentlemen, be the judge between Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. Who is lying? Between the Kenya Kwanza bloggers and Uhuru Kenyatta bloggers, who is lying? Because the evidence is there. William Ruto was part and parcel of the deal. Kimani Ichungwa, who was then the majority leader, was part of the deal. Even Eden Duale was the leader of the majority in the National Assembly. He was part of the deal. The entire brigade that is now supporting William Ruto were there.